Hi guys! It's time for the Cartoon History of the Universe, Volume 2, Sticks and Stones, with a complete introduction with his time machine and with Larry Gonick, hosted by Larry Gonick himself. Let's get started! Okay. So now that we're out of the subject of the Big Bang, evolution, DNA, and the creation of mammals, it's time for a subject that's most dear to ourselves. Ourselves! No pun intended. And so, let's talk about sticks and stones. Now that apes have now came down with a lot of miraculous falling with no damage, they decided to do some things. They evolved by walking upright, meaning they had two legs, and that made them free with their hands. But now a question appeared. What do they do with their hands? The backstroke? Da-da-da-da. Well, technically, yeah, but no, that wasn't really what the most important things about hands. They realized that grabbing stuff with their hands was pretty important. They eventually evolved to have opposable thumbs. And they even found ways to even use their environment for themselves. They also found sticks and stones to be really useful. Throwing stones are useful to scare predators, and a whole tribe of people throwing stones at a predator would make it scare away. Even, I don't know, a saber-toothed tiger would think an antelope was tastier than a human anyway. A stone cat, to be honest. So, what now? How did they have ways to just protect themselves from stones and sticking and stoning together? They didn't really need fangs. Their fangs and claws were the sticks and stones in different variations. So the basic way of history is the basic way to survive history is with sharp sticks and stones, for now at least. And this eventually branched off into three types of humans. The first one, Australia's robustus, a vegetarian. Homo habilis, meaning handyman, and is our most direct ancestor. And then Australopithecus africans, the smallest of them all, and is a junior graded hominid. The Australian robustus actually survived pretty good because of their sheer enormous size that scared away their predators, especially the other humans. Homo habilis, the handyman, were able to sticking and stoning together, made it useful, and maybe even scared away a few of the robustuses. And other things too. Eventually their brains evolved, their foreheads grew thicker, their eyebrows grew bigger, and created the Neanderthals. Eventually the Neanderthals had babies who had genetic defaults with smaller foreheads. Why in the world is a fish out there? Oh, they killed it. Anyway, back to our main point. How do we evolve anyway? Back then, we think of evolution as physical evolutions, like growing bigger hands, maybe, or evolving the power to fly, which is, to be honest, impossible for humans, no matter how much they were able to evolve, or even lightweight. And they started creating habitats. Men were hunters, mainly, and the women were gatherers. The men really found ways to make tools that actually preserved them for a long time. The women had to use softer tools, so it eroded after hundreds of millions of years. And the men archaeologists found only remains of men tools. So according to the evidence that they found, it said they all the brains of men back then, like us. Larry's like, what the? And now into the Ice Age. The Ice Age is a terrible thing to be in, as it is one of the coldest eras of the year, of the ages. We are not even sure that the Ice Age is over, even though the common association of the Ice Age with history is already over. Even though the snow monster never existed, there is a bit of some evidence about it. And what was the most useful tool then? It's not actually a stick and stone. It starts with an F and it's hot, and the sun might be made of it. I give away the answer, did I? Fire. Well, I guess you could say flames, but fire. Everybody, the humans back then had a weird fascination for it, and they did a lot of experiments with fire. Also, most of them probably backfired. But fire users whose experiments never backfired had found good ways to use fire. It could be used to harden wooden spears, which enabled the Erectus hunters to go after bigger game, like woolly mammoths. It could also be used to stampede a herd to their deaths. Fire could cook stew. And when the darkness came, they could use fire to light up a cave and talk to each other, which, to be honest, promoted language. But how did they create fire anyway? Most of the earliest known fires were probably from natural fires. They just collected it and then put them in the store. But then they realized flints and steels could make fire, at least spark that gives life to fire. Then they created rituals where basically one of the rituals is basically just covering themselves with red paint and waving their arms, saying to spirits, "Go away, go away." Another one is cannibalism, where they eat their vanquished enemy, their brains mainly, to get their wisdom. Wow, to be honest, that is a bit of a meanness. So now they created a lot of civilization, and this is where civilization starts to come in handy. Language starts evolving, religion starts evolving, Mother Earth starts evolving. And now a bit of a word on progress. Progress is one of the best friends for humans. But progress, we could have even invented this, or this, or YouTube, or iPhone, or Samsung, or... Okay, I think you get it. So progress has always been a part of humans' lives. And also, the other ancient people usually had fewer brains, so they didn't really care about progress. And now that civilization has intervened, we'll find something new to talk about. Even agriculture was invented. So inventions started coming. The wheel was invented. The spinning wheel for the potter was invented. Warrior tribes were invented. The men got power, not the women anymore. And now Sumer was built. But that's for another story. Because now it's the time for the rise of civilization. Hey, a dramatic sound. I didn't expect that. So let's see what holds for us in Volume 3. It's only 2 words, and they both start with R. See ya in Volume 3, where we will meet the Sumerians and the Egyptians.